At present time, we place great value on democracy. Many are convinced that it is one of the greatest system of government, where solutions to political issues, and authority to decide who will govern the nation, is in the hands of the people, the rule of the majority.
Everyone, regardless of their background, has equal rights to vote. Together we can decide our fate. Certainly. There is nothing wrong with that. Or is there?
Listen everyone, I have decided I am going to raise the tax.
But, why?
Because I want to.
After decades of suffering, oppression, and unfair distribution of power, maybe democracy is really the best form of government. If we are paying our duties to the government, we all certainly should have a say who will rule over us, isn't it? So how can democracy be a bad idea?
Now here's a question from Socrates to Adeimantus.
If you are going on a journey sailing in the rough seas, who would you want to be in charge of the vessel? Just anyone, or people educated in the rules and demands of seafaring?
Of course, I choose my friend here, Deimos.
You have a death wish, Adeimantus?
Of course that didn't happen. Adeimantus chose the captain.
The latter of course.
Why then, do we keep thinking that any old person should be fit to judge, who should be a ruler of a country?
Socrates was not favoring the rich or implying that only few men should have the right to vote. He simply believed that an important matter such as electing government should not be left in the hands of uninformed, unqualified people.
Why are you voting this candidate?
Because my wife told me to.
He was born in the same town as I am.
Because he said he will raise our pay and lower the tax.
But he raised the tax and lowered our pay in his last term.
Voting is a skill that needs to be learned. He insisted that only those who had truly educated themselves and thought about the issues rationally and sincerely should be allowed to vote.
Do not vote based on shallow assumptions or plain intuition, but do your proper research. Study the candidate's background, values, education and accomplishments to see if they are qualified for the position.
The problem is that people find it daunting to engage in research, because doing so would require so much time and effort. However, this is exactly what democracy requires: people's participation.
Another problem with democracy is that Socrates knew how easily voters can be exploited. Corrupt politicians know that simply by stating words of flattery, promoting prejudices and appealing to popular opinion, they can surely convince anyone to vote for them. Socrates gives an example of a doctor and a sweet shop owner.
This person is evil. He likes to hurt you. He cuts you, gives you bitter medicines and commands you what you should eat and drink. He will never give you candies and sweets and all other pleasant things like I will.
If you did not do your own research, you will surely fall for the convincing words of the sweet shop owner. In this case, more sweet shop owners will rule the country.
This is why Socrates believed that democracy is the government of the uneducated, selfish mob who only pursues their own pleasures by voting officials who, in reality, do not care about being a leader but how to fatten their pockets. Another philosopher, Plato, believed that democracy is one of the later stage of a declining state. His theory suggests that democracy would later on make the situation so catastrophic, that the people themselves would call for a dictator to save them.
The idea of having educated voters is of course, not ideal for some rulers, because it would be difficult to fool a wise person.
Socrates experienced firsthand the bad effects of democracy. He was put on trial for disbelieving the gods and corrupting the youth of Athens. The jury consisted of 500 Athenians, and decided by a narrow margin that he was guilty. He was sentenced to death, and died by forcing him to drink hemlock.
What do you think about democracy?